Hello, my tennis patients. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a young Roger Federer, and we're going to see how his forehand is no different than anyone else who wishes to hit the ball like an advanced level tennis player. It's not a secret, and I'm going to show you the common threats. Let's begin. So in phase one, we have the no backswing, backswing. The non-hitting hand comes back with the racket, and we let go when the ball bounces. The front shoulder's underneath the chin. Now notice how the racket head stays in front of the hand, and it's also hooded, okay? Now from here, boom. You can see that behind his body, he is not pointing the butt cap to the ball yet, okay? His strings are still hooded, and the racket head is not behind the hand. This delay is important, and the non-hitting arm is parallel with the baseline, and it's going to be used to uncoil after the legs come up, okay? As the racket drop initiates, okay, down to the height of the ball, we're gonna see him sit in a chair, outside leg is gonna load, we're gonna shift the weight, boom. Now the racket drop occurs and the body comes up and starts to uncoil as the racket comes down, and now you're gonna see the racket head come through as the last part of the kinetic chain. As a byproduct, we're going to get the letter L for leverage. Back in the slot, but it's loose. The racket's along for the ride. Boom. At contact points, okay, the wrist is still back, but during the follow through, we now have a straight line, okay, with the forearm and the racket head. So we relax the wrist to cover the top of the ball with the windshield wiper. Hand to hand, below the shoulder. You don't have to catch the racket, but if it's good enough for Roger Federer, it's probably good enough for you. Shoulders stay level, and it also forces you to swing kind of across what I call an imaginary tabletop, cracking through the ball instead of scraping it and finishing too high because you're skimming the ball. Let's look at two other angles now. This side angle should give us some insight. It's a lot easier to see what's happening as well. Notice how the non-hitting hand has come all the way back here. The racket head is clearly inverted, okay? It stays in front of the hand, and from here, both of the shoulders have turned as a unit, okay? We've got the front shoulder underneath the chin. The elbow is up and away from the body. Remember, don't tuck it in. You got to air the armpit on the forehand. But we'll see in another angle from the back how he also doesn't wrap it behind his back, which is very important. We're not wrapping. It's got to stay on the outside pocket. Boom. We pat the dog. The strings go parallel to the ground. Okay. The racket comes down as the body fires up. Okay. We explode with the legs. We uncoil with the chest. The non-hitting arm comes into the body. Boom. Okay. We've uncoiled to the target. The wrist is back. L for leverage. The wrist stays back all the way to contact. Boom. Still got the letter L for leverage. We've got our laser scope on the chest pointing to our target. And from here, he's going to cover the top of the ball like a windshield wiper until this angle is gone. Okay, we can make a straight angle with his forearm and his racket head hand to hand below the shoulder. Notice how his head stays completely still as well. That's very important. Now, let's look at his forehand from the back. All right, so we've got an on-the-run shot. The mechanics are still the same. We air the armpit in the back. Okay, the shoulders coil together. The non-hitting arm is parallel with the baseline, and the racket head does not get in front of our body. Okay, we've got to have a delay. It's the last part of the kinetic chain. It's not so much of an inversion. They just got to wait, okay? It's a storing of the energy. You don't want to set the butt cap behind this imaginary line, which is your hand. A lot of people at this point in the swing are pointing a flashlight, okay? They're pointing their racket butt to the ball already. Federer is not, because we're going to get our big muscles first. Roger Federer isn't a bodybuilder, but I promise that you can hit the ball just as hard as him. You can make it look like him, but you got to use your bigger muscles first, okay? If you want to have swing efficiency and avoid sending your arm on a lone mission. From here, We've got the racket drop into pat the dog. And what I was talking about earlier, we don't tuck away the elbow. And at no point is the racket head going to cross behind this line that I've drawn. That would be wrapping. The racket's got to stay on the outside of our body, okay? We say inside to outside. That's what a lot of coaches say, but it's really outside to outside. We want to make sure that we're not tucking this away behind us, okay? It's got to stay up and out, air the armpit, and we're going to go outside to outside, away from our body. He's going to uncoil first with the big muscles, okay? The laser beam is pointing to the target. The wrist is in the slot, okay? And the racket comes through as the last part of the kinetic chain. And here we can really see the windshield wiper finish as well, okay? If the things in this video are good enough for Roger Federer, they're probably good enough for you as well. In any event, thank you for tuning in, and use what you've learned to modernize your game and maybe your man bun.
Tennis Doctor is a self-help tennis book for adults. You could have 40-inch biceps, rapid anticipation, fancy feet, and a brilliant mind, but if you have poor swing mechanics, you will never win. On the contrary, you can have slow reactions, terrible footwork, and be 40 pounds overweight, yet still produce a good shot if you can perfect your swing. By reading Tennis Doctor, you own the secret to a perfect swing, and if we have to, we'll call you an Uber to get you to the ball in time. Read it now on Amazon and listen to it on Audible in every country. Tired of going down a rabbit hole of tennis videos that focus on what the swing should look like but not how to do it? I have systemized the best tennis information for being an advanced level player, and you can copy it by taking my online course. Click the link in the description to get started now.